Hi there berries, welcome to the 12.2 support tier list. This patch is pretty huge for support, so make sure you're paying attention for this one. There's big changes to Senna, Janna, and Tahm Kench, some minor ones to Lulu, and a slight buff to Rylai's Crystal Scepter. If you're new here, onto this channel we do lots of support guides, from tier lists like this one to support guides. We recently did Soraka and Nami, and we'll be covering the champions that are getting reworked in guides shortly and with gameplay videos as well, so make sure you subscribe to catch all of the latest videos. But let's just jump right into it. So Senna is getting a Q slow now, so that's like the glacial augment that she used to have in the previous season, in season 11. So her Q now slows, and that scales as she gets more AP and AD. You still will be doing a physical damage build, so probably with lethality, and you might be using fleet work as your keystone rune. Tahm Kench, adjustment, but it's basically they don't want him to be played in solo lane, and they're bringing him back into the support role. His Q slow is getting buffed, so 10% extra slow from 40 to 50%, which is quite massive in terms of catching out people. They nerfed his grey health shield if you're in a solo lane, but kept it the same if you're in a duo lane. And they also buffed his ultimate. The main one on his ultimate is he now gets increased movement speed when he eats an ally. He used to be slowed, but now he's actually got a big movement speed buff, 40%. So you can save your AD carry. If there's an assassin heavy team, Tahm Kench might be a pretty good pick. You just eat your ally, run away, let them reposition, and then they can then join the fight in again. Now the bigger change, that Tahm Kench change was quite big as it was, but the Janna change is even bigger. So we're going to go over to a different Twitter post by someone else at Riot called August. And these are the numbers if you want to like pause the video and have a look through them. There's a lot of changes here. The main one is that the Q travel time, the tornado, is slightly faster. Janna's shield is slightly reduced, so you can use that more often. The W poke is, you're going to be doing it less often, but it's going to be more powerful when you do it. Also, her ulti is going to tick faster, so potentially in a fight, more healing over that time, but the total healing will be the same. Overall, this is, in my opinion, a decent buff to Janna when she doesn't necessarily need one. I find it very weird in a way that they're looking to change how she's played. But the main thing to take away from here is it might be slightly harder to get spell thief stacks, but disengaging is going to be even easier now on Janna. The shielding component as well is going to be better and stronger than what it was before. They've added a thing where if you impair an enemy champion, you get 20% heal and shield power for 5 seconds. So I think the general thing is impair enemy, then shield ally is the ideal situation. So you can do that with your Q or your W. That's basically the gist of it. And when you crowd control the enemy champions, your E is also going to come off cooldown. So I guess you could do E and then do your crowd control, and then you have another shield backup, and then that second shield should be a little bit stronger. So that's probably the sort of rotation that we're looking at. Minor nerf coming into Lulu. She had a 1 second increase on her W. Overall, I don't think it's too crazy, but I do feel like she needed some sort of nerf for high yellow. I just don't think it's a huge amount, honestly. I would have liked to see the attack speed reduced, but it is what it is. And then Rylai's got buffed. I'm going to say like it's a buff overall. It's not like a full buff. There's a nerf to it as well. So the gold cost on Rylai's is going down by 400 gold. So it's going to be much cheaper to pick up. You are losing 15 ability power, but you are gaining 50 health. Now, the main reason why this is probably more of a buff is because you're going to be able to pick up the Rylai's into your kit sooner. Basically, they wanted people to be encouraged to purchase this item. So this item works pretty nicely, particularly on Brand. Some Seraphine players also were picking this item up. So if you do like Rylai's on Seraphine, then this is a pretty decent buff for you too. Overall, not a massive gameplay change there on the items, but it's something to think about maybe if you feel like you need a little bit more utility when playing something like Brand. You don't necessarily need to do that on Zyra because the plant's already slow anyway, and it's always the highest slow takes priority, and Zyra plant's slow for around about the same as Rylai's anyway, so it's not really a massive deal. So those are all the patch notes. So we're just going to dive straight into the tier list. I'm not going to keep you too long because those notes were quite long. Tier 5 is the same as it was in the previous tier list. So look at those champions there. If you recognize them, don't play them as support. Tier 4, generally a lot of those champions are having a tough time. I did a little bit more research on other tier lists from other more like company websites, honestly. So, and they put Rel on tier 1. And that made me extremely confused. I urge you not to play Rel. She's extremely bad. And I have no idea who is recommending to play Rel in solo queue, but it's a really, or should I say, really bad idea. Okay? Don't do it. Even in high elo, she's kind of garbage. Bard and Thresh are slightly better if you are high elo on that tier 4 list. And potentially the Pyke as well. Maybe I'm being slightly harsh on Pyke being tier 4. There could be an argument there for tier 3. But on the whole, this tier list is catered to unranked to low plat. So stay clear away from these champions until you are much higher elo, to be honest. Tier 3. We have moved Seraphine down from tier 2 to tier 3. Yumi is tier 3, but she's very, very good in high elo, like low plat plus. Because you're relying on your AD carry. Morgana, Brand, Alistair, Xerath still around the same kind of area. I was thinking about potentially moving up Rakan to tier 2. I'm not quite fully there yet. I think if you are plat plus, Rakan is a stronger pick for you. You're relying heavily on people following up on your plays more so than any other engaged support. And it has to be very quick and very reactionary. So don't expect that in gold minus. Ari, support, Glacial, kind of cheesy thing there. If you want an off meta pick, then that's the one to take. And Karma does very well in the laning phase, but she can struggle extremely a lot later on into the game. Unless you've got maybe potentially like 2 to 3 people that rely on movement speed. So for example, like a Hecarim, Karma Hecarim could make it viable for Karma in the late game. Moving up to tier 2. We've had a couple of people moved around, as you can probably see. So Zyra has been moved down from tier 1 to tier 2. Lulu has also been moved down from tier 1 to tier 2. And Senna and Kench have been moved up. Senna, I believe, was tier 4, and now she's gone to tier 2. And Kench might have even been tier 5. He was literally unplayable bot lane, but now he's tier 2. So there's some champions moved down, some champions moved up, but there seems to be huge potential for Senna and probably even Tahm Kench. I think if I had to put a bet on who would have a higher win rate, rather Senna or Tahm Kench coming into this next patch, I would say that Tahm Kench has probably the most potential on the win rate. But all of these champions in tier 2 are definitely viable. Lulu with the W nerf kind of impacts her a little bit, but I felt like I needed to move her down anyway because people in unranked to gold, the AD carries might not be utilizing the Lulu as much as they should be, so you might want to wait until you hit plat plus for that one. Brand, nothing really changes on him. There is that Rylai's change that you could maybe use if you play Brand a lot, and that gives you a little bit easier time in landing those skill shots and setting yourself up for that one. And also it's just super annoying because obviously you've got Leandries and Demonic Embrace and your passive, and they're going to be not only taking damage over time for a long time, but they're also going to be slowed while doing it. So it's just going to be really irritating for the enemy team to deal with. A couple nice engages there, the Nautilus and the Blitzcrank. I think Blitzcrank's, kind of standard, like up there, tier 1/tier 2. Very decent pick. You could probably put him in like a 1.5, But as you get to high ELO, maybe gold, maybe low plat, Blitzcrank does start falling off as people understand how to counter him. Moving up to tier 1, we have the Uwu tip. We have the Soraka, Sona, Nami, Janna, Leona, and Lux. Now, the Soraka and the Sona in particular have very high win rates, and they're doing very well at the moment, and they didn't get changed. Nami also is a very good kind of jack of all trades enchanter pick. She's also very good right now. I'll talk about Janna in a second. Leona is the best tank that you can play, and Lux is the best AP support that you can play if that is something that you want to play down in the bot lane. You can do that whether with First Strike or Arcane Comet. I've had mixed results with different things, but there seems to be that if you really need the extra damage in the bot lane, then I would recommend Arcane Comet. But if you can hold out for the extra gold generation that you get into the mid game, First Strike is better. So if you can manage it and not need the extra little bit of damage in the bot lane for those trades, then First Strike is generally better. So Janna was tier 2. I've moved her up to tier 1. She's definitely going to get paid a lot, as is the Senna and the Tahm Kench, because people just want to, experiment with their changes. I think Janna overall was pretty decent anyway. I think her disengage is now going to be even stronger. Whether or not you're going to be doing a Glacial Augment build or an Airy build, and which one is better, is yet to be decided. But it's really interesting about the Glacial Augment because I think that Janna is the best user of Glacial Augment. And then, as we mentioned in her E change, she's going to get shield and heal power off doing crowd control. So potentially, if the fight lasts long enough, the second Glacial Augment proc would be an even bigger slow. So it's just some things to kind of think about, that it are synergizing quite nicely towards a Glacial Augment Janna. And I'll be testing it out, and you can watch the results and the gameplay videos that we're sure to be putting up in the next few days. But I hope this tier list helps you out. I hope it gives you an idea of what's going to be happening to those 3 champions, the Janna, Senna, and the Tahm Kench. I think overall I'm most excited about Tahm Kench. I don't really feel like that the Janna needed changing, honestly. And the Senna change was much needed because she really needed buffed, but the Tahm Kench one is the most exciting. It's nice seeing a tank support getting reworked in an interesting way. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. The next support guide will be next week. Until then, enjoy the gameplay videos. And do let me know on what champion that you want me to cover in the next support guide. We did Nami and we've done Soraka. And if possible, I think I will be looking at one of those 3 the Senna, the Janna, the Tahm Kench. So let me know in the comment section which one you want me to cover. All the best, happy climbing, and enjoy the 12.2 patch, because I don't know when next we're going to have a big of a support patch as this, so enjoy it.